India is in danger. It is not safe for India anymore because after Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, this time it is Bangladesh. India has been surrounded by completely unstable and volatile neighborhood countries from all sides. And if you are someone who still thinks that this will not affect Indians, then this is the time to get a reality check. Because if geopolitical measures are considered, then this claim holds more truth than ever that India is not safe anymore. After Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina abruptly resigned, the country is presently facing economic uncertainty and regional instability, which followed through weeks of violent protests, communal violences, and many more. It is all over the news. But except this, the reason why India should be really concerned about this is, with all the focuses right now on Bangladesh, we are missing out on much dangerous threats looming around our nation. And that is our volatile neighborhood. Because it is not just Bangladesh, but also our other neighborhood countries. Yes, that's right. I am talking about recent instability among our neighbors, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, and as usual China taking advantages of this to use them against India. Listen, this video is going to be a bit different from what you are all watching through the internet, news and YouTube and all across the web. In this video, I will explore the ways in which border instability in South Asia and beyond is influencing India's strategic outlook, political decisions, and what strategies India can use to come out of that to minimize the ripple effects that are coming from this kind of incidents. At the very end, I will also share some well-researched solutions that our growing nation can use to improve our relationship with our neighbors by not falling in the trap designed by some not so friendly foreign countries, and also helping our neighbors to come out of their crisis like we did in 1971. So my name is Krish and you are watching Still I Rise Motivation. Without any further ado, let's get started. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned suddenly on August 5, 2024 and sought refuge in India. This is due to 2 weeks of violent protest. But the root of all these protests stretches back to the year 1971. First, let's take a small outline of what exactly happened in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina is the daughter of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the leader of Awami League party that fought for Bangladesh's independence from Pakistan in 1971 along with Indian army. During this war, India became an ally of Bangladesh and helped the country achieve independence. It gave the Mukti Bahini, the armed wing of Awami League, enough military and diplomatic support as they needed. We were one of the first countries to recognize Bangladesh as an independent nation. Since then, the two countries have had a good relationship. Now coming back to the root cause. Soon after the war, the Bangladeshi government introduced the infamous quota system in 1971. The system reserved 30% of total government jobs for the freedom fighters referred to as Mukti Yodhas. Fast forward to 2018, people started to demand that the old quota system must be reformed. It was Bangladeshi High Court's decision in June 2024 to bring back quota as it was led to protests and eventually the Prime Minister's resignation. The government crackdown resulted in approximately 300 deaths. Also, there is outrage over attacks on the Hindu minority in Bangladesh. In times like this, India also faces the delicate task of balancing its strategic interest with the principle of non-interference with our neighbors' internal affairs. Now, after an interim government is formed under the leadership of Muhammad Yunus, the one and only Nobel laureate in Bangladesh, the interim government says that it still wants to be a good friend of India. But things are not as simple as it looks. According to history, except Bangladeshi Awami League, the other political parties in Bangladesh has not been so friendly with India earlier. Now there is a reason that why Awami League is so friendly with Indian government. See, the Awami League party was formed under the leadership of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who was elected the first independent Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and that too with the help of Indian military. That is why the leader of Awami League and his daughter now has always been a good ally of Indian government since 1971. Now coming back to the point, other political parties than Awami League has also denied to cooperate with Indian government in some investigations concerning the northeastern border region, a significant portion of which India shares with Bangladesh. As of now, it will be very hard for our government to maintain peace and surveillance in the northeast region without the help of Bangladeshi government. The crisis of our eastern neighbor poses further several challenges. You probably don't know, but Bangladesh is among one of those few countries to whom India exports more than it imports goods. India's export to Bangladesh valued at over 16 billion US dollars in 2022-23. That is why Bangladesh is a very key economic partner for India. Bangladesh relies on India for raw materials and energy resources to fuel its industries. The ongoing instability in Bangladesh has disrupted almost each and every sector of this country, including the 55 billion export industry of textile, which could have a ripple effect on India's export matrices and also the textile industry side by side, because India also relies on Bangladesh for textiles, apparels and some other specialized goods. The fact that has to be worried most about is, other than business landscape, that this power vacuum may result to a comeback of radical Islamist groups in Bangladesh, which would be a real bad for Indian security. These groups could lead to cross-border terrorism, spilling through India-Bangladesh border regions and spreading into Indian territory. The Bangladesh's army formation of an interim government under Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus makes things even less certain. Additionally, it could let Pakistan and China get more influence in Bangladesh over India, which can hamper India's strategic interest in the whole South Asian region. America has an eye on Bangladesh's St. Martin's Island for the longest time ever to take control over it. Now US might see this as the perfect opportunity to make it happen and take control over it finally. This move can potentially hamper India's string of diamond business route and even can choke it if they want to. Apart from this, if this present crisis continues, India may face a potential influx of refugees from Bangladesh after 1971 again. This could strain resources in border states and complicate India's domestic policies. Now, amid the political uphill, it may lead to a shift to Bangladesh's foreign policy. There are concerns that China might increase its political impact in the country, potentially affecting India's strategic interests in this region. At the same time, Bangladesh's strategic location enhances China's access to the Bay of Bengal, affecting regional power dynamics. China also sells weapons to Bangladesh, including fighter jets, tanks and submarines. China has also invested in Bangladesh through the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). Such involvement could change the balance of power in the region, resulting in a problematic situation with India becoming less influential over time. Ongoing crisis could also impact India-Bangladesh negotiations and infrastructure projects like water sharing of Tista River and also connectivity initiatives like Akhura-Agartala railway link, which is equally important for both the countries. But Bangladesh is not the only nation that is blinded by rage and war right now. Have you all forgotten about the pearl of Indian Ocean, the Sri Lanka? It is our closest neighbor and longest ally. If you observe closely, just like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka also witnessed exact similar condition a few years back. Sri Lanka has faced economic crisis since 2022. The government defaulted on its debt from China. There was a shortage of foreign currency. This led to problems importing essential goods, rising prices and public frustration. The economic challenges led to protests against the government, which led to President Rajapaksa's resignation. Sri Lanka has also sought help from International Monetary Fund (IMF) to stabilize its economy. Although India contributed $4 billion to help it come out of China's debt trap and manage its economic crisis, but it is not enough. In comparison to the amount of loan China has given to this country, it is next to impossible for them to come out of that debt trap. It is possible that this could have some unfortunate knock-off effects for India amid their increasing dependency over China, and this crisis affects India's trade relation with Sri Lanka and might reduce trade between two countries. Refugee flows, cross-border tension could increase in future. Now, for decades, we have had our northeastern frenemies, with whom we have always been in a state of unrest. Yes, I am talking about Pakistan. Now let's decode Pakistan's present-day macro environment and how it might affect India's present upward growth. Pakistan has been facing a crisis with inflation, low foreign exchange, and more foreign debt. In December 2022, Pakistan owed 33% of its GDP to foreign debt, and here also 30% of it owed to Chinese banks alone. And as usual, the economic unrest has been resulted in social unrest. The country's foreign exchange reserves fell to a record low. Side by side, the Pakistani rupee has fallen in value. This affects essential imports like fuel, oil and pulses. A study shows that Pakistani households has been spending their 40% of income, near about 40 to 50% of their overall income in foods only. But how does this affect India? Let's talk about it. One of the country's major political parties, Jamaat-e-Islam, is protesting in major cities. This party is specially known for its Islamist belief and links to militant groups. This party specifically uses the political unrest to recruit members, fund operations and plan terrorist attacks both at home and against India as well. All this means more cross-border terrorism, with groups possibly getting support from the Pakistani government this time. This way, if Pakistani economy worsen, there could be even more political unrest, which is gonna affect India's border security. As always, financially struggling people are more likely to support extremist ideas, which can be dangerous for us and Pakistan as well. The worst case scenario is Pakistan could collapse, and which could affect the security of its nuclear weapon also. Now here is the main catch. By helping Pakistan with money to make strategic deals, China can gain increased military cooperation and influence over Pakistan's foreign policy. The more geopolitical hold, the greater the power is. Via investing through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC), China is acquiring a stronger presence in Pakistan and South Asia, ultimately weakening India's security and influence in that region. But have you ever thought that the land of Himalayas can also pose a significant threat to India's security? I am talking about Nepal. Now let's find out why. Nepal's economy has consistently struggled with low growth, high inflation and trade deficit, contributing to political discontent. With 13 prime ministers since 2008, this instability affects India in many ways. As there is the longest open border between India and Nepal, it also needs to be managed well. Nepal is also strategically very important because it is between India and China. Political problems in Nepal can make it harder to manage the border and keep it safe. If Nepal is unstable, China might get influence over there. Last but not the least, more Nepali refugees could come to India, which could use up resources in border states like Bangladesh. Now let's finally focus on the snake in the window, China, the world's most populous and technologically advanced country in the world. You have probably seen that Modi and Jinping is shaking hands and smiling and giving hugs to each other, but the exact scenario is opposite to that. China's international politics and its military is a major threat to India. The two countries have long border disputes, particularly along the line of actual control (LAC), including Pangong Tso, Galwan Valley, and Dipsang Bulge shows India's security is hence at direct risk because of unresolved terrorist disputes and China's military presence in the region. This fact is undeniable that China has a clearly edge over India. But beyond military threat, China's increasing influence in the international market is also becoming a major threat for India day by day. For example, China has blocked India's effort to join groups like the Nuclear Suppliers Group. China has also used its power to resist India from getting India the veto power in the United Nations organization. China has also used its power to shape multilateral organizations in a way that benefits it. Not to mention, we have already seen how the Chinese debt trap captures countries that are economically vulnerable. This forces other countries to be China's allies, which could potentially lead to future wars where India would find itself surrounded by numerous Chinese allies, or rather we can say them Chinese puppets, who speaks the same language as China does. Now finally coming to the solution and safety measures. All this unrest and war and protests, this has already caught the attention of major global powers. I am talking about the big boys here, the US and Europe. The US is majorly concerned about the credibility of Bangladesh's election. The European Union is concerned about human rights in Bangladesh. They are also monitoring Pakistani's crisis as well. But specific to India, what we can do to face these challenges? Well, there are many. Firstly, we have to keep a close eye on our neighbors and what China is doing with them, especially with whom we share our borders. This can be done by securing the border, diversifying trade, and strengthening our own economy. We should invest heavily in cybersecurity to resist Chinese hackers from stealing our sensitive data. And banning Chinese app was one of those significant decisions that helped India in various ways. We should build new supply chains to decrease our dependency on the old and unstable regions. Focusing on energy security and strengthening our internal security is also recommended. Apart from this, there are also strategies which we can implement. This includes investing in cultural influence to increase India's soft power all across the world, like hosting the G20 and hosting Olympics in 2036, as India is very much willing to do that. We can also promote regional connectivity and prosperity, improving intelligence and forming new allies across the world. Additionally, by strengthening financial safeguards, focusing on water security and enhancing maritime capabilities, we can promote regional connectivity and prosperity. Atmanirbhar Bharat might be a good option to carry on with national developments at this stage. I am not saying that this should always be the case, but there will be times when this mindset will be absolutely necessary. Thank you for watching, guys. Comment down what you think and feel about the current situation in our neighborhood. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.